Chapter 1 of Indian Polity, Standard Reference, M. Laxmikant, is titled Historical Background. For UPSC CSE 2026, this chapter is crucial not just for factual questions but for understanding the evolution of the Indian Constitution. It explains how the administrative and legislative structures we see today, like the parliamentary system, federalism, and the judiciary, were gradually developed under British rule. The chapter is divided into two distinct timelines. 1. The Company Rule, 1773 to 1858. Focus was on centralization. 2. The Crown Rule, 1858 to 1947. Focus shifted to representative government and decentralization. Part 1. The Company Rule, 1773 to 1858. Theme: Establishing central control. 1. Regulating Act of 1773, the Foundation. Significance: first step by the British Parliament to control the East India Company, EIC. Key feature: it designated the Governor of Bengal as the Governor-General of Bengal. Warren Hastings was the first. Judiciary: established a Supreme Court at Calcutta, 1774. Control: prohibited servants from private trade. 2. Pitt's India Act of 1784, double government. Separation: distinguished between commercial and political functions of the company. Double government. Court of Directors managed commercial affairs. Board of Control managed political affairs, new body. Significance: British government was given supreme control over companies' affairs in India. 3. Charter Act of 1833, peak centralization. Designation change: Governor-General of Bengal became the Governor-General of India. Lord William Bentinck was the first. Powers: vested him with all civil and military powers. The laws made under previous acts were called regulations. Those made under this were called acts. Civil services: attempted, but failed, to introduce open competition for civil services. 4. Charter Act of 1853, Mini Parliament. Separation: separated the legislative and executive functions of the Governor-General's Council. Institution: established a separate Indian Central Legislative Council. Civil services: introduced open competition for civil services, Macaulay Committee. Part 2. The Crown Rule, 1858 to 1947. Theme: responsible government and representation. 1. Government of India Act of 1858, Act for Good Government. Trigger: enacted in the wake of the revolt of 1857. Power transfer: abolished the East India Company, powers transferred to the British Crown. Designation change: Governor-General of India became the Viceroy of India. Lord Canning was the first. Administration: ended double government, abolished Board of Control and Court of Directors. Created the Office of Secretary of State for India, member of British Cabinet. 2. Indian Councils Act of 1861. Decentralization: restored legislative powers to Bombay and Madras presidencies, reversing the 1773 to 1833 centralization trend. Portfolio system: introduced by Lord Canning, foundation of cabinet system. Ordinances: empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinances. 3. Indian Councils Act of 1909, Morley-Minto reforms. Communal representation: introduced separate electorate for Muslims, legalized communalism. Lord Minto is known as the father of communal electorate. Indian entry: Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian to join the Viceroy's Executive Council. 4. Government of India Act of 1919, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Diarchy in provinces: divided provincial subjects into transferred subjects, administered by governor with aid of ministers, responsible to legislature. Reserved subjects, administered by governor and his executive council, not responsible. Bicameralism: introduced bicameralism, two houses, and direct elections in the country for the first time. 5. Government of India Act of 1935, the blueprint. Significance: a bulky document that provided the structural basis for the current Indian Constitution. All India Federation proposed, but never came into being. 3 lists: divided powers into federal, provincial, and concurrent lists. Provincial autonomy: abolished diarchy in provinces and introduced provincial autonomy, responsible government. Diarchy at center: proposed adoption of diarchy at the center. 6. Indian Independence Act of 1947. Sovereignty, declared India as an independent and sovereign state. Partition, provided for the partition of India and Pakistan. Constituent Assembly, empowered the Constituent Assembly to frame and adopt any constitution. Quick revision table for prelims 2026. Act. Key term/feature. 1773. Governor General of Bengal, Supreme Court. 1784. Double Government, Board of Control. 1833. Governor General of India, peak centralization. 1853. Open competition for civil servants. 1858. Viceroy. Secretary of State, end of company. 1909. Separate electorate, Muslims. 1919. Diarchy, provinces, bicameralism. 1935. Provincial autonomy. Federal Court, RBI. How to approach for 2026. For the 2026 cycle, focus on the evolutionary flow. Don't just memorize dates, understand why a change happened. E.g., 1861 decentralization happened because the British realized they couldn't rule without Indian cooperation after 1857. Would you like me to create a similar summary for Chapter 2, Making of the Constitution, or a specific set of practice questions for this chapter?